Hey, this is Lewis here again, and I'm going to cover a few slides in this one here. Just felt to do this, not really sure why. The golden rule, do unto others, Galatians 5:14. When I grew up as a boy, which was at this point about 55 years ago, um, we used to hear about the golden rule all the time. Do unto others. And of course now people try to use something called the platinum rule, like you do unto others as they want to be treated, but I still go with the golden rule. The golden rule, I think ultimately the golden rule comes from the Ten Commandments, which we don't really hear much about anymore. But if you want to look it up, you can look up Exodus 20 verses 3 through 17, the Ten Commandments. Um, in that, you're going to find that there are some of the commandments deal directly with God, and the other commandments deal directly with men and our fellow man. And you can read them and look them up accordingly. I'm not going to go through all that detail now, but what I'm trying to do is show in the Old Testament there was 10 commandments, the law of Moses. Then a lawyer actually challenged Jesus, and I want to read just a few scriptures here. In the New Testament, it said, Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. This here is talking about a relationship with God. If you look at the Ten Commandments, I think it's the first 4 or 10 have to do with God. This next slide I'm going to show you is, and the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets, Matthew 22:35 through 40. So what we find here is a lawyer which was very educated in the biblical law was trying to trick Jesus or challenge him. And he asked Jesus a question, and this is how the Messiah actually answered him. So we know we have the law of Moses, the Ten Commandments, which was given on Mount Sinai through Moses, the Ten Commandments, and then here they're being summarized into two basic categories, God and man. Now I want to take you one step farther, and this here is my favorite verse in the Bible, because after I saw this and I'd been studying so many years and teaching, this here made so much sense. Galatians 5:14. For all, all the law is fulfilled in one word. Even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So the Ten Commandments can be summarized to the two, can be summarized ultimately to this one word, love. If you take and you had a bullseye and you were trying to hit a bullseye with an arrow or whatever in a target, the entire Bible, the Old Testament, the New Testament, has to do, and the bullseye is love. Love the Lord thy God, and love thy neighbor as thyself. And of course we know that Jesus Messiah died on the cross for our sins, the ultimate payment of love for each and every one of us. And that is how he fulfilled the law of love in giving to God first. He did it for his Father, and he did it for you and I, his neighbor. So all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, Galatians 5:14. So, without getting real complicated and trying to be a biblical scholar and read every word in the Old Testament or every word in the New Testament, or whether you are a particular religion, you don't even believe in the New Testament, or you're from a different religion, Ultimately, this one word, if any of us and every one of us would apply this one word in the world, across the world, and show compassion and love for other people, what a different world we would have today. What a different world we would have today. So it really doesn't come down to religion and, oh, what does he believe and what religion is that and what about this and I disagree with that. Can we agree on one thing? That we should love our neighbor as ourselves, that we should be kind to others, that we should show compassion to others, that we can show that compassion and love in our community to others through love. And you know what? We've all come from different backgrounds, and we can say, well, I'm the left wing, I'm the right wing, and I believe in this, and I believe in that, and you don't believe in this, and we could all get caught up in all these little discussions. But I like what one person said in a song once. They said, you know what? If the people would just put down their picket signs and the picket lines, lay them down on the ground, and walk across the line and hug that other person, what a different world we would have. Now, there's nothing wrong with having standards and believing in certain things, okay? We're all from different backgrounds. We're going to have different belief systems. We all grew up in different families with different upbringings, belief systems, backgrounds. That's the way it's going to be. We can't change that. We all had different moms and dads, different countries, cultures, all kind of things. But this is what I personally believe ultimately. Until we show love for our neighbor, we're not going to be able to offer anything. Anything. When I went to that church for 43 years, in many of those years, probably about 17 or 18, I was in the upper administration, which means assistant director all the way up to corporate officer. I would have homeless people and drug addicts walk into that property. And we'd have a mission downtown where they were supposed to come in and get the free food off the street. And we had another center where we actually had the thrift store. And sometimes the homeless people would walk to the wrong place. They didn't know which place was what. They would walk into the thrift center instead of the mission downtown. I remember one particular day a guy came in and he was hungry. It was in the middle of the day. Lunch wasn't being served. The kitchen was shut down. Everything was cleaned up. And he came in and he said, I'm hungry. Can you get me a sandwich? I said, sure. Come on. And I walked him back into the kitchen, and the cook had to get all his stuff out after he cleaned up the kitchen, everything, and sat the guy down in that kitchen that held 160 men to eat, and sat down and ate his sandwich. A lot of the people coming in to the work were homeless, alcoholics, drug addicts, crack addicts, cocaine addicts, prostitutes, you name it. They came there because they needed help. They needed someone. They needed basic necessities of life. Stuff that maybe you and I take for granted. They needed food, clothing, and shelter. We offered them food, 3 hot meals a day. We offered them shelter, a bed and a shower, and gave them clothing and provided for them. They worked either with the truck or either on the sales floor, whatever, did a miscellaneous job. Some people were so sick and tired they couldn't do hardly anything. We gave them piddly little jobs, just something to stay busy and have a little bit of self-esteem. Because when they did something, they felt better about themselves and had some self-esteem. I had many, 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 many men contact me over the years and say, I saw your name and phone number in the prison. They would write me a letter. Can you help me? Can you help me? and I would get those letters to the intake counselors, and we would get it coordinated, and if we could, we would try to help them get in the program. Because our program was free, the line was longer than the beds were available. They were always full. First of all, people would rather be out of prison than in prison. So we did help a lot of people. After I left of 20 years, before I moved to Central Florida, there's one particular story I like to think of here. This guy was a crack dealer. He was probably about 27 years old, had a wife of about the same age, and had two little girls, two little blonde-haired twin girls who were about age 5 each. And he was supposed to go to prison. They were supposed to throw the key away. And I don't know how, somehow, they actually got him a pass to go to our program. He came to our program and went through the Bible classes and the work and all that. And his wife would come every Sunday with his two little girls and come to church and visit him on the grounds in the afternoon and visit together, play together. And he and I worked side by side, and I had a fractured wrist, and I would literally lift the furniture off the back of the truck with my fractured wrist and be on the other end of the couch with him and move it into the thrift store over and over again. I would mop the floors and sweep the floors with my fractured wrist with him. And I guess it's for those reasons that he saw me work beside him and not tell him what to do, that it must have changed his life. Because the last day that I was there, the last service I was there, we got through with the service, and he walked me over to the side of the church in the side wall. You got to remember, this is a crack addict that's been dealing crack to the community. He looked me in the eyes with tears in his eyes and said, "You're the example I needed." And to know that you can help a family, a mother, some young children, just by being available, just by showing some kindness, just by showing some love, by giving people their basic needs, food, shelter, and clothing, then they may be willing to listen to what you have to say. It's one thing to talk and teach, it's another thing to lead by example. When you do that, each and every person listening to me, you can do that in your community. This particular church, which is in 3 counties in South Florida, it started out as a little teeny 1-acre piece of property in a small little building with some donated theater seats with bubble gum on the bottom of the seats. It started out with 6 men in the program, and this founder that started it, he felt challenged to start it. He had this little prayer. And he said, "Lord, I don't know how to help no alcoholic." And he felt this answer back. He said, "Do you know how to make a bed?" And he said, "Yes, Lord, I know how to make a bed." "Do you know how to put food in a plate and put the plate on the table?" "Yes, Lord, I know how to put food on the table." He said, "Well, that's all you need to do." And that's the way he started that great ministry. Just 6 men. They started out with getting donated clothing from the people in the church and in the community, and then backing a pickup truck to the corner in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and selling clothing off the back tailgate of a pickup truck. They didn't have millions of dollars to start that. They took some clothing and just sold it off the back of a pickup truck. So, anyways, if we're going to help people out there, whether it be in our backyard or whether it's on the other side of the world, we have to love the neighbor as ourselves. Hope you're having a great day.